Hello, welcome back. Late Tuesday night, Jonathan and Susie Lamb, once key figures in the influential Dayar Television Ministry, released a video that sent shockwaves through the Christian community. Their announcement, made from an undisclosed location, was laced with fear, urgency, and a heavy sense of betrayal. They declared their disassociation from Dayar, one of the largest Christian broadcasting networks, while revealing a secret so devastating that it forced them into hiding.This was no ordinary dispute within a ministry. Their statement hinted at systemic corruption, institutional betrayal, and the lengths to which powerful entities might go to silence dissent. The video began with Jonathan Lamb speaking gravely. A lot has been going on over the last couple of years that we just couldn't talk about. But we've handed over all our evidence to multiple reporters, including the police. Some scary things happened being followed, private investigators, intimidation, threats. Even through all of that, things didn't stop. We felt like we had no other option but to reach out to a journalist. When you bring things to light, things get better. So that's what we did. The Lambs explained that their video had been recorded from an undisclosed location because they no longer felt safe at home. This revelation only deepened the mystery. What could have driven two prominent figures to flee their lives, sever ties with their ministry, and risk everything? Details of the Lamb's secret began to surface through investigative journalism. Reports revealed allegations of abuse against the Lamb's young daughter, allegedly committed by a family member. This relative, deeply connected to the ministry, had been shielded rather than held accountable. The Lambs described behavioral changes in their child that pointed to trauma. Initially, their daughter spoke of inappropriate actions that alarmed her parents. Subsequent events raised more red flags, including an incident where the accused individual followed the child into a private room. Witnesses later reported inappropriate physical interactions between the relative and the child. Despite these allegations, Dayar's leadership appeared to prioritize the ministry's image over the well-being of the victim. The Lambs faced opposition, dismissal, and what they described as attempts to silence their voices. The Lambs detailed a culture within Dayar that discouraged transparency. Their attempts to report the incidents were met with resistance, as leaders within the ministry insisted on keeping the allegations quiet. Jonathan and Susie were advised against involving law enforcement and were pressured to handle matters internally. In one particularly troubling instance, the ministry's leadership appeared to deflect responsibility onto the child. The Lambs recounted how their concerns were dismissed as overreactions and were told to prioritize the feelings of the accused individual over their own child's well-being. This environment of suppression reflected a broader issue within certain institutions, where image management often takes precedence over accountability. For Jonathan and Susie, standing up for their child came at a high personal and professional cost. Jonathan revealed that he had been demoted earlier in the year after refusing to sign a non-disclosure agreement. By November, he was terminated under vague accusations of poor judgment and performance. This was a stark departure from Jonathan's previously assumed role as the heir apparent to Dayar's leadership. In an unexpected move, the ministry announced that Joni Lamb, Jonathan's stepmother, would take over instead of him. The Lamb's revelation suggested that this decision was not merely organizational but also retaliatory. Their willingness to speak out about the alleged abuse and the ministry's response had seemingly sealed their fate within the organization. The Lamb story highlights a troubling reality: the potential for systemic failures within institutions that claim moral authority. Their case underscores the dangers of placing reputation above responsibility, particularly in organizations that serve vulnerable communities. The allegations against Dayar reveal a culture of secrecy and power dynamics that can enable abuse. When victims and their advocates are silenced, justice becomes elusive, and the cycle of harm continues unchecked. This situation raises critical questions for the broader faith community. How can institutions ensure transparency and accountability? What protections should be in place for vulnerable individuals? How can leadership balance the need for discretion with the imperative to act decisively against misconduct? Despite the risks, Jonathan and Susie Lamb chose to speak out. Their decision was not only an act of parental love but also a testament to their integrity. By stepping forward, they have drawn attention to the structural flaws that allowed such a situation to arise in the first place. The Lamb's courage highlights the power of truth in the face of intimidation. Their story serves as a reminder that silence only perpetuates harm, while speaking out, however difficult, can pave the way for justice and reform. The revelations surrounding Dayar are not just a scandal for one ministry, but a wake-up call for all institutions. The Lamb's ordeal underscores the need for policies that prioritize the protection of individuals over the preservation of reputations. Ensuring that allegations of abuse are promptly reported to law enforcement rather than being handled internally. Establishing third-party accountability mechanisms to prevent conflicts of interest. Providing resources and advocacy for individuals who come forward with allegations. Fostering an environment where transparency, empathy, and accountability are valued above institutional self-preservation. As the Lambs continue their fight for justice, their story has already sparked critical conversations within the faith community. Their bravery serves as both a challenge and an inspiration to confront uncomfortable truths, demand accountability, and prioritize the values that underpin true faith. This moment is an opportunity for reflection and growth, not just for Dayar, but for all organizations that aim to serve their communities with integrity. By learning from the Lamb's experience, institutions can take meaningful steps toward creating safer, more accountable environments. In the end, the Lamb story is not merely a tale of hardship and betrayal, but also one of resilience and hope. Their willingness to stand for what is right, even at great personal cost, reminds us all of the enduring power of courage and truth. The path ahead will not be easy, but it is a path worth taking for the Lambs, for their child, and for countless others who rely on institutions to uphold the values they claim to represent. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe.